Hey guys, it's Merrick, and I've got another gameplay commentary for you here today. This one, we're yet again on Planetside 2, on TR, continuing the Unity gameplay from last week. So, quickly going over the loadout yet again, running the short barrel on the Unity because it helps with the hip fire, the high velocity because I put that shit on everything. Everything else is pretty standard for medic play, assimilate, and combat surgeon because headshots and kills, as well as reses will give energy back, which means you can heal yourself and others in an area, and it winds up working out pretty good. Because of that, you don't need medkits as much, especially with the cure launcher, so you can run the C4 to kill maxes and any other vehicles that happen to get in your way, or at least give them a little bit of a bruising. We left off at Zealous Northgate with 37 kills in 24 minutes. There's enough pressure coming from the building and the people along the side of the building that are at a good angle from our spawn point and the bridge that I can't just run across the open field, so I go to rotate around the side. I pick up a few people that just happen to wind up being in my way with favorable engagements, and then I try to get back into position to actually push. I toss a resonade to the bridge because they seem to have wiped, give myself a second to regen, and while my initial plan was to just try to cross this gap from over here, I see enough people down the way that I wouldn't have been able to make it across. I try to thin them out a little bit, and somebody off the back balcony is able to pick me up. So, running back, I stop under the bridge yet again, but there's a massive population shift because the point is just about to end, and we wind up being able to breach into the building anyway. I follow the push in, get murdered by a max. The fight is still going on even though we've technically already lost. I take a res, trying to keep the fight going and see what I can do, but I get murdered from a ledge alongside one of the windows, so I move on to somewhere else, which takes me to the west air dock. I spawn and run towards point. I'm able to get a good position on the high ground, which allows me to get a few kills for free. I try to drop a C4. I could hold that position and just try to keep working people out, but it seems like we're getting control of the outside, so I drop down, manage to hand out a res, and continue trying to get different angles to pick people off to help clear out the outside faster so that we can try to push up. Seems like a lot of other people are also rotating into the fight, so we have a decent population surge, but we're able to clean up this first landing as we push down to the actual point building itself. I, yet again, try to head down the side rather than directly to the point. I'm able to drop down a resonade, and then after a little bit of back and forth, I do actually drop down and join the fight. However, I'm murdered by a guy on the roof, which seems to be really unlikely to me considering the amount of people we have here. I figured somebody should be able to look down at the roof. But considering how long I don't expect this fight to last, I decide to take a res, eat another free death, and then take another res as I try to get on the other side of the building. This point is going to collapse soon. It's under an immense amount of pressure. It's just a matter of time at this point because it's very obvious we have a slight population advantage. So I stand back, let people try to roll into the room as they get murdered from people in the corners, and I just clear people out as they leave their safe areas and rotate around trying to get safety inside of this clusterfuck of a fight. It doesn't take long before they run out of dudes, and we're able to move on to the next fight. That takes me to the NC Arsenal, where, leaving spawn, I scale up onto the roof, try to get a good position, and then just slowly cut the angle, trying to pick off whatever I can find exposed. Seems like there's a lot of guys near on the minimap, so I just try to take tighter angles and see what I can do. Despite all the blue dots on the minimap, I don't see any of the guys actually in person, so I take some more exposed angles trying to see if I can't just force a fight, and when I do, I stand at a slightly off angle that's actually exposed to where they were at, which seems to be below the balcony over there. When I run back, there's a much more solid push materializing for TR. I still try to be a little bit cautious from getting picked off on the side, so I drop some long-range resonades, relying on the bounces to get them where they need to go, before I finally push in and try to help clear the balcony itself. Seems like they have a router set up on the balcony, but I just work on clearing out the guys who spawn because I know I'm going to have a better chance doing that and getting kills than trying to run up and take it out myself. I'm a medic, I'm squishy, and there's going to be no shortage of people that actually just YOLO and yeet themselves at that to get that finished. However, by the time that is cleared up, the fight is dead, so I have to head over to Silver Valley for the next fight, where, as I cannot go a single video without doing it, feels like I walk out of spawn and immediately die to some vehicle loser on a hill. Following that, I walk out of spawn again and die to an infiltrator that was sitting perfectly still in stealth, and third time's the charm, I leave spawn and finally make it to the point building. PR has just secured the point yet again, but I'm able to get a few shots on some guys coming in the side doorway before I get flanked by somebody just running in through the back. I'm able to run back, make it back into point, but this time there's a massive push happening, so I dump 2 resonades in 2 separate areas of the room to try to pick up as many people as I can, drop the cure launcher on those guys that got picked up, and then I take a farther back position with an elevated angle so I can shoot over their heads and try to help clear out what I can. I'm also making sure to keep my healing field activated because as I get kills here, it's going to be replenishing my energy, which is going to help me stay alive and keep the people up nearby me. They eventually do get me off the box, and then no sooner do, I try to take a res, hoping to keep the fight going, but I'm overzealous on it, and I just res directly into another nade. So, running back, we now have to retake the point yet again, even though it is currently locked down, because we have a back cap. They're slowly fixing that. It's going to be just a little bit of time. So, I try to cut the angle as closely as I can, taking short peeks before eventually I can get a few kills and then move up to the box. Seems like the overwhelming majority of them have already vacated the point as they go to clear the back cap before showing up here yet again, but we are able to make it back to the point room and clear everything out there. Though no sooner do we really get back up here than there's another smaller push where they try yet again to retake the point room, but because it's smaller, I'm able to play much more aggressively, and I push up onto the box to help get a good angle as I clear these guys out. But with that done, before they push back here, I decide to move on to the next fight, which takes me to a Raxacom network hub, where no sooner than do I get there does shit hit the fan. I try to push up to the point, but there's a lot of pressure outside, so I try to dance around along the staircase using them to break line of sight. I throw a resonate to some of the guys on the corner, but they're actually a bunch of guys on the roof, and as I move to engage them, somebody rolls up from the outside with a Hesh Lightning and just murders everything, which forces us out of that fight and all the way over to Raven's Landing, which is a really nice place to fight. I actually quite like it as long as you can get there early. I did not get there as early as I wanted, and we are getting pushed in the building between our spawn and the point. I really expected them to push all the way up across the airpad type looking thing here and into that building, but they stopped and decided just to hold the point building. So I was able to pick up a few people and push out here to where these crates are to make some really tight angles and try to bleed out as much as I can to give us some room to get a footing to actually push into the main point itself. As such, I'm staying at a mid to longer range here, using the accuracy of the Unity to try to pick them off as they're getting into point and trying to peek themselves out. But there's still more of them dropping in, and I see one around the corner of this box, so I decided to chase him. I thought he jumped off and went down towards the point, and as I go to engage him, it turns out there's actually a medic much closer that I'm able to swing on. But from here, it looks like we've actually grabbed control of this bridge, despite the fact that there's a Hesh Lightning or something down there spamming it. So I'm able to, yet again, get into a position to finally push up. I try to YOLO it across a field here, but I don't really make it, and I get taken out by somebody on the side. And trying to keep the fights going, rather than commit back to that because we didn't seem to have enough TR there, I actually head off to a different fight at the auxiliary compound. But I've got to start wrapping this video up as we close this session out with 80 kills in 42 minutes. There was a bit of a lull in a few different places. We're trying to transition from fight to fight, which kind of killed our KPM, but we're still able to pull out a 3KD with an over 50% HSR. And unlike previous videos with the Dark Star, I actually managed to use the Cure Launcher the way it's supposed to be in a few different situations, where I basically use it kind of like a med kit if I'm running out of heal energy, able to drop it at my own feet to quickly top myself off. But there weren't exactly a whole lot of opportunities to hit people with a flash or concussion to clear that, like it's supposed to be used. But I've always talked about using it kind of like a med kit, and finally was able to show it off in this video. As for things I've done incorrectly this video, I feel like I played a little far forward in some situations, or overextended when I was in the fights. Specifically in continuous larger fights, instead of rotating in and out, I was just trying to stay there and kind of do my heavy brain things where I'm just murdering players. While that can definitely work as a medium assault, and that's definitely a way to play it, I think I could have gotten off with a slightly better score if I decided to back up a little bit and reset slightly more often. That's all I'm able to fit into this one. I'm sure you'll notice a few other things I could have done better if you've watched my other videos, but as always, let me know what you do like, let me know what you don't like, let me know what you think so I can improve my videos moving forwards. Thank you guys for your continued support, and I'll see you next time.